Hi there.
Hi,
I'm Amanda,
Danielle.
and if you don't watch us, we are Overland Exposure. We've been travelling around Australia and the world for the last almost 5 years, and we travel full time as a family, and we have a child, Aria, who's currently 7.
And we like to help people out
We do.
by giving some advice sometimes,
Sometimes.
some recommendations, some inspiration,
Mostly lots of just info as well.
and in this case, some info.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can not make the same mistakes we made.
And hopefully inspire you to adventure like we do in some way.
So this is a video about the Transatlantic Cruise, info video about them. Some info about them, what they are, why they're good, our experiences with them, things like that. Kids, food.
Everything we can try and give you to make it help you understand what a transatlantic cruise is and
why you should take one or not take
one. We have experienced 2 Atlantic cruises. One was prior to Aria. It was actually our honeymoon, and it was a 5-week total cruise with the transatlantic crossing in the middle for 1 week. And then more recently, we have experienced our second one with Aria, and it was in the opposite direction, actually, Europe to US. The first one was US to Europe.
Yeah, so we've done them both.
So we've done both ways, both with child and without child, and 2 different cruise lines as well.
Yep. Right, so what is a transatlantic cruise? That's a good question. Basically, twice a year, the cruise lines move their ships from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean and from the Caribbean to the Mediterranean for the different cruising seasons. And then to get from A to B over, they usually sell what's called a repositioning cruise, where they're repositioning the boat from one place to another.
For the different season.
For the different season. And in this case, these are called transatlantic cruises, obviously because they go from one side of the Atlantic to the other.
There are trans-Pacific cruises as well, which do a similar thing, obviously, as a Pacific Ocean.
Other repositioning cruises, but they're not nearly as common. This is the most common repositioning of the seasons.
Correct, yeah.
How long does a transatlantic cruise go for?
So they usually are about 10 to 15 days. It varies depending on where they start and where they finish for the destinations. Most of them you'll see as like a 12-night. That generally seems like the time that is needed for the crossing and the ports either side for supplies and things like that to consider for the ship itself as well, staffing and things like that.
And what's a normal route?
A normal route. So usually if you're going somewhere from the Mediterranean, maybe like Italy, ours, we've had one that left from Barcelona and our other one that arrived in the Mediterranean and finished in Venice. So it really depends on where.
For Genoa as well?
Yes, we haven't experienced that one, but we know someone that has. It just really depends on where that ship is kind of based around and things like that, where its home kind of port is. And
they change all the time. They change where they start and finish. Yes. And it'll usually finish in
Florida.
Florida.
Yep.
Or Caribbean somewhere. And vice versa, going the other direction.
Usually starting. So we actually started our first cruise in the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
So we actually flew to there and then cruised the Caribbean before crossing. And usually on these repositioning cruises, the ports, there's not as many. It's a different style because it's the purpose is to put people on there and make the use of the staff and the ship, but it's not meant to be as holiday.
The people are on there to cover the bare minimum costs of moving their ship, and I don't think they make any profit on the repositioning cruises.
Correct. So they're not doing lots of ports.
That's not to say they're bad or you're missing out on anything. The only thing you're missing out on is lots of ports.
Lots of port stops. You're not doing a 10-day cruise and stopping every day in a different spot or a different place. You're doing maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 ports, depending on where you start, crossing the Atlantic for 6 or 7 days, and then doing maybe 1 or 2, 3 at the other end. It really depends, again, on where it starts and finishes as to how many ports you actually see and do. But for some people, 6 days cruising along the Atlantic Ocean and not getting off and doing anything is a great holiday. So it really depends. If you want a holiday that's busy and seeing lots of places and ticking off lots of different stops, then a transatlantic or a trans-Pacific, I guess, isn't really probably for you if you're not a person that sit around a pool and relax for days.
You're going to pros and cons.
Yeah, but it's that ports sort of side of things.
So if you're leaving from Florida, quite often you'll go to Bahamas, one stop in the Bahamas on the way through. And then quite often you'll do a stop at one of the islands on the way coming into Europe, like the Azores or Funchal,
Yep.
which is Madeira. One of those sort of islands on the way in, and then vice versa.
Yep.
Malaga in Spain is very common because it's down near the bottom of Spain. It's very common for cruisers to stop on the way past.
Correct. Yes, we stopped both times on ours, each direction.
It's the difference between a standard cruise and a transatlantic cruise.
That's pretty much it, really. It's the ports, and it's that massive Atlantic crossing, and
sea days, lots of sea days.
The sea days, yes. We even had like a port stop, and then a sea day, and then a port stop and a sea day, and then lots of like 6 days of sea and stuff like that. So it's a lot more sea days. Yep. But in terms of like facilities and things on the boat, that all stays the same.
Yep. Cost. It's usually around half the price per night. Which is
if you were to do a 10 or 12
normal 7 day.
Yeah, if you were to do a holiday one, destination.
And also they're normally longer, so there's a fair bit of time involved in getting across the Atlantic Ocean. And so typically it'll be a minimum of like 10 days, where a normal cruise could be like 4-7 days. It's unusual to get a longer cruise. So the transatlantic is a bit longer. You have a bit longer with the staff and
that chunk of time in the middle. Yeah. For sure. But in terms of food, services, activities on board the ship, that's all stays the same. There's entertainment, there's all the different eateries, all that stuff. Whatever the ship you're on facilities are, they are all still available to you, even though you've paid a cheaper price and you're doing this kind of special type cruise. Kids clubs still exist, all that sort of stuff. So
All right. Choosing the right cruise line.
I don't think there is a right or wrong answer to this in terms of...
I think any cruise is going to be good.
Yes.
Varying degrees of good. We've cruised on MSC, which is a European line, and we've cruised on Royal Caribbean doing the transatlantic.
Yes.
They're both good in different ways.
Correct.
I probably enjoyed Royal Caribbean more.
Just a little bit. The people on board were more our age and things like that.
English families.
Yes, kids. Whereas when we did our MSC one, they're a lot older. We were like one of 3 couples of our age at the time and things like that. So
more smoking.
Yeah, just a different vibe. So
that was a lot like
the boats were both had the same sort of facilities, and to me the food was very similar in terms of quality and all that other stuff. Entertainment was just as good on both, and the service from the staff and everything like that was...
So I would say all the major lines do the repositioning cruises. They have different prices for them.
Yeah.
We found Royal Caribbean had a very good deal on the repositioning.
Yes.
It was
a good deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Others, I guess, try and still make a little bit of money maybe and see how they go first.
If you've got loyalty with a different line, then that's probably the one to go with.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've got perks and benefits like free drinks or something like that.
And in Australia as well, I've actually cruised 3 times prior with an Australian cruise line, P&O. And in terms of comparing our transatlantic experiences to those cruises, again, it felt the same on board, but in terms of the services and the food and the staffing and all of that. So even though I've done that whole sort of holiday cruise as well as 2 transatlantic ones, and both felt the same in terms of the style. The only thing different was the 6 days at sea.
Yep.
So
a bit of info now for you about how to prepare for a transatlantic cruise. So first thing you need, essential documents. You'll need to make sure that you are legally allowed into the countries that you are going to. So that's Caribbean, maybe Europe, America.
Even for us landing in the US and spending time there, we needed to make sure we had our visa and stuff there.
Visa waiver, Schengen agreement. We had to make sure we left enough days of Schengen time
to cover the port stops. Correct.
European port stops.
Yep.
You're not classed as being out of Europe until you actually finished your last port in Europe. They stamp your passports.
Yeah.
So that was in Portugal for us.
Yes. So because we travel full time in Europe, we were like, radio, we need to leave another 1, 2, 3, however many days tacked on. So we needed to make sure we allowed that.
Yeah. And if you're from a country that has difficulty getting visas, then you need to prepare for that with multiple countries, which is probably a downside of doing a transatlantic cruise for you.
Yeah.
Travel insurance. Our travel insurance is Safety Wing. We do them month by month. They cover cruises as standard, but they're also a little bit less fully featured around luggage and things like that than other set time travel insurance.
Yes.
And quite often travel insurance won't cover a cruise. If they do, they might have a separate cruise add-on. For us, Safety Wing covered cruises as default, and they also covered snow sports as default, which saved us a bunch of money.
Yes, correct. So make sure you look into your policy that you use, or not that you normally use, and check all those things if you are going to book a cruise. Make sure if you look into it either before or after, and don't just assume, basically.
Yep. And because those companies will charge you if you have a medical incident on board.
Yes.
They will crack out those American healthcare charges.
As much as possible.
Yeah, also possible to have an emergency in the middle of the ocean and have to get, I don't know, something rescued somehow. Or, yeah, a lot of stuff can go wrong potentially.
Yeah, but you don't like to think about that. You just need to make sure you're covered.
On a port visit, in some way, you might have a car accident because you hired a car and driven,
Like, we
even
don't...
missing the boat. I don't know if that's covered in insurance or not. But
wouldn't have a clue. You'd have to look at the documents. But we don't travel without insurance, and we 100% recommend that to anybody, no matter how experienced you are or how cheap you want to travel. Like, insurance is always worth it because you just never know what's going to happen. So,
saying that, we are affiliated with Safety Wing in terms of where you get some cash if you sign up through our link. We haven't had to make a claim yet, thank God.
Yeah.
But we've heard they're good.
Yeah. And any dealings we have,
with.
Any dealings we have had with them, we thought we were going to have to make a claim, and all that sort of stuff has been fine.
Yeah.
Like all that initial stuff. So
it's just like you never really know with an insurance company until it comes time to pay out, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So do your own research, and if you end up landing on Safety Wing as an insurer, just please use our link and give us a couple of bucks.
Yeah, a couple of bucks to just help us to
Doesn't
help
cost
you.
anything.
Yeah.
More info for you.
Practicalities of being on board. In terms of packing and luggage, there is no weight limit to what you can take on board. We took our 2 suitcases, our backpacks, our normal travel stuff. Plus, we took a whole bag full of snowboard clothing and gear, which was doing us for a whole season worth of snowboarding. We also took a massive...
bed.
We just slid it straight under the bed. We took a massive bag of drinks and gluten-free food on board as well, because we could take like 12 cans of drink each or something like that, soft drinks each. So we did.
Some wine.
I think it's 2, like for the particular one we were on, it was like 2 bottles of wine per person and 12 soft drinks or something per person you could take. And so we took all that stuff because we didn't have a drinks package for it, and because that was so expensive. That's how they do make their money. And we didn't really feel the need. We weren't on there as like a party with Aria and stuff like that on this last one. So on our first one, we paid for the drinks package. And so we took all this stuff on board because there's no weight limit. And we didn't do it because of that, but we did it because we actually needed it. We needed our
was a bit of a mission getting on the board at Barcelona, wasn't it?
It was.
Getting from the taxi onto the ship, it was like we were carrying a lot of stuff.
We were carrying a lot of stuff, but and we had Aria's car seat as well.
Yeah.
Because we carried that around with us. And we're moving. It's our life. We had to carry everything we do for our life. Plus, we added the snow stuff to it, and we added the bag of food because I had no idea what gluten-free food was going to be like when I was on board. So I just did not want to be hungry. And they usually say you don't go hungry on a cruise, but
gluten-free, you never know.
You just never know.
And there's good gluten-free food in Europe, and we were like, if we don't need it on the cruise, then we can just have it in the US.
I've got it in the US, exactly. So it was fine. And especially when there's no weight limit, we're like, I'm better off to be happy than not. So take it. And another thing to consider in terms of packing, when you're doing a transatlantic cruise, because it is that shoulder season, you're not getting that summer destination either. Like, we actually were in jeans and a jumper when we got to Florida, and for some of the days on board as well.
Yeah, but we were swimming in Bahamas, and
we were swimming in Bahamas, so you actually do need quite a variety of clothing in terms of...
We'll kind of go into that in pros and cons.
Okay, it's not really a pro or con though. It's just, don't just think you're on a summer cruise, because it's not. It's that shoulder season weather, so you're on that borderline. So,
anything you found invaluable? We didn't feel the need. We know, like, they have the dress up nights and things like that.
Of course.
We didn't feel the need. We just went with normal clothing. I think as soon as you have kids, it's like
Yeah.
kind of optional.
I think if it's your one holiday you're flying there, you're doing this cruise, and you're flying back or whatever it is, then sure.
There was
But
like a white night or something, and we
they
just
do
did
that
our
all the
we just
time.
did our best.
We did our closest to white we could. And on formal night, we wore our nicest of clothes and things like that. We did our hair a little
my
nicer.
nicest Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. But we didn't. Yeah, like for us, we're not packing. We're not going and buying things, or we're not packing, like, we don't have a nice dress and heels or anything like that. I barely have any makeup with me or any of those things. So for us, like, if it is your one destination, you're going to fly, get on a boat, cross, fly home, sure, pack what you want. Feel free to participate in those nights. But for us, we didn't feel the need, and we didn't feel like we missed out either. So.
Yeah. Some practical concerns you might have are seasickness on board. So we dealt with a big storm.
If you haven't watched our actual episodes.
Big swells, big storm. Captain sort of does their best to get you away from the swell and minimise it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Some didn't really help. Like, we had the pools emptied, and we had huge waves up to the third and fourth story that we were on.
We're not going to go through it all in the video. They can watch that.
Yeah.
But
it was pretty epic.
But also,
in hindsight, it was epic.
Once we got off the boat on land again, I was like, okay, I'm good. But the other thing is, our transatlantic that we did the other way 10 years prior was literally glass the entire time. And but where we went North Atlantic and more Southern Atlantic, like things at a different time of year. It's not something I heard a lot that, oh my God, the Atlantic crossing, oh my God, the Atlantic crossing. And I was freaking out. And then the first one was glass. And that's why when we booked this one, I was like, it'll be fine. I'll take a few tablets just in case. And then we went like crazy weather. We went the opposite. So it can be so different. You can't guarantee the weather, no matter where you're on the world.
We survived. I would recommend a window, like a porthole. I think that made a big difference.
Yes,
if we felt a bit seasick.
Yeah, they also gave out seasickness tablets on board as well.
They're freely available at the medical centre,
even at the concierge desk as well.
Yeah.
And they gave me ginger ale, soft drink, like to help because that helps. They were like, here, try this. Try this. Like, it was a green apple was one thing that one of the staff was like, try eating a green apple. That's what I do when I start getting sick. And they were throwing the suggestions at me when I was not feeling well. So.
It was gnarly. Like, the staff was saying it was gnarly for them. They'd never had a crossing like that.
Yeah, so. It was fun. So they were happy to help you out.
That was an extreme, I guess. And it was still fine. In hindsight, it was great.
For you, maybe.
The trip as a whole was amazing.
It was good. I now I've overcome and I've watched the videos back. I'm like, I could probably go again.
Yeah.
So, but at that time,
so you go. Someone who's susceptible to seasickness, got seasick, had a rough crossing, would still go again.
Yeah, only because it's a fun holiday.
Yeah. So there you go. That's your advice.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Staying connected at sea.
Yeah. I was going to say about other sickness.
Other sickness. Yeah, there is other sickness going around. Try and stay healthy. Stay sanitized.
Yeah, sanitize and all that stuff.
We ended up getting some sort of probably COVID variant near the end of the cruise.
Yeah.
And there's not anything you can do about it.
Honestly, the sickness is spread on cruise ships so easily because everyone's all amongst each other so often and all of that stuff. That
they do their best with sanitizing.
Yeah, and you do your best, but don't think do go prepared with some of those medicines and things so that you're
have some Panadol, have some gastro stuff if you need it.
Yeah, and just like some of those sort of things to help you if you start to get sick, because you don't want to be going to the medical for simple things like paracetamol or whatever, So
we had a little druggy bag and that was good.
Yeah, a little medicine bag. Yeah,
even in Funchal, in the Isle Miss October, we stopped at the pharmacy and got some more stuff.
So that's fine, except you don't want to be on day 3 of the crossing and not have anything. So yeah. But yeah, staying connected.
Staying connected at sea. Now that Starlink is a thing, most of the boats have Starlink, I believe, have upgraded to Starlink from the old systems. And so for us, it was $25 a day to have one device connection.
Yeah. We
that
took it in turns.
We hotspotted or something. I can't remember how we did it. It worked.
We generally took it in turns.
Took it in turns, hotspotted, and that's all over the ship pretty much. You got one device always connected.
Yeah.
That was super useful.
Well, for us, because we like to stay connected, kind of work, that kind of thing, we definitely felt like we needed it for that time.
Because it's all 7 days at sea without any internet for me would be a bit like not difficult.
Yeah, it would. Let's be honest. You wouldn't.
I did it fine the first time. 10 years ago, our crossing was fine. I did it, but we had the drinks package.
We had the drinks package, and we were child free and all those sorts of things. So this time you wouldn't have coped. I'm just going to be real here. You wouldn't have coped.
I probably would have survived.
So
anyway, it's reasonable speed now and latency, and it's much better than the old satellite sim systems. And I think $25 a day is fine.
Especially
it's
when we're not spending on drinks.
expensive. So you add it to the price of the cruise and the whole thing as a package, and it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, especially when we're not spending on drinks. Like, it was either drinks or internet.
That's a hard choice.
For him, yes. Okay, so what's it like being on board a day? If it's a sea day, I guess, it's totally different to a port day. A port day, you basically get up, breakfast, whether it's buffet or dining room, get yourself organised, get yourself off the ship, do your activity, whether it's pre-planned through the cruise, like the ship, self-explore, finish your day, make sure you're back in time. And then the day continues on, whether it's buffet for dinner or afternoon tea, shows, that kind of thing. It's a pretty sort of straightforward day.
Yeah. Sea days were dictated for us by the entertainment schedule. Pretty much that was what was going on. And there was heaps of stuff going on all the time.
There was the app that we could choose.
Yeah, there was the app. And there was like entertainment here and entertainment there, and this thing over here, a lesson on this over there, but like balloon animal,
balloon twirling,
twisting, and
yes. There was family based activities. There was older couple based activities. There were like young, I'm talking like there's dance lessons, like what's it called? Ballroom dancing.
This is Royal Caribbean specific.
They're all the same. They're all
similar.
Yeah. There's bingo. Then there's family science lesson. There's the balloon twisting. There's, a talk on Titanic. Or there's ballroom dancing. Or there's a show. So we're listening to a pianist or a violinist or whatever they call it. Pianist.
There's kids club as well for the kids. Runs in blocks during the day. It's not an all day. Drop your kid off at 9, pick them up at 5. No. It's sort of they give them back to you for lunch, and then they can go back in the afternoon.
And sometimes after dinner as well.
Sometimes after dinner. Didn't really work. After dinner didn't really work because we were always doing the entertainment.
Or we actually did on a couple of occasions on the crossing because we needed, with the time difference, to keep Aria up later. So we would have dinner, then we'd go to the show, and then we'd we need to keep her up. There's nothing else we can take her to for entertainment and keep her awake. She can go and play. We chilled out like at the spa or whatever one night, and then I think we went and had extra dessert one night, things like that, because we needed to try and help with the time change. So those nights there was only a couple, but we did that as well.
We'll talk about the time change more in a bit.
Yeah.
So basically every day, like at sea, sort of get up, look at the schedule, breakfast. That kills like half the morning, and then by the time you finish with a table breakfast or a buffet breakfast. Then like morning and send the kids to Aria's at the kids club, and then
chill out for a bit.
And then it was lunchtime all of a sudden, and you got to go collect Aria from kids club.
And then lunch takes like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Then you're back to kids club. Yeah.
Like then pool time or chill out or activities or whatever.
The day actually flies by.
Yeah. And
some people are like, oh my gosh, there's not like a whole day at sea for 7 days or 6 days. And like,
it flies by.
The day disappears really quickly.
Yeah. You make friends.
Yeah.
If
you want to, of course.
The entertainment on Royal Caribbean was outstanding. I cannot speak highly enough of what they did. They had a different person every night, different activity.
Different styles, yeah.
Yeah. And it's sort of like halfway between RSL entertainment level and like Broadway entertainment level.
Yeah.
It's not quite like it's better than RSL entertainment.
But then it's not Broadway because it's not like a production.
Some of them it is. Some of them were.
Some of them, yeah. It just depends. But all of it was great. So
like they had a singer from like England, a soprano, who was singing at like concerts at Prince Alfred Hall and stuff.
Yeah.
Prince Albert Hall, and she did like this epic show, and then 2 days later she was like did an epic impromptu afternoon soiree in the grand staircase in the middle of the ship, and that was just like That was so good.
Yeah, she was awesome. But all of it was great.
It's a good exposure for your kids to a lot of stuff that they wouldn't normally see.
Correct.
Like live music, violins, classical.
Even the what's it called? Hypnotist. Like it was family friendly hypnotist, and Aria's like, "What is going on?" Like, yeah,
like dancing. There's just so much. Yeah. It was such a broad exposure for Aria, which was amazing. And even us, you'll see things that you wouldn't normally
go and see.
You wouldn't go and see because you're like, I'm not interested enough to that to go and pay to see it.
But you'll go and entertain yourself that way. Yeah, on the cruise.
And it was top notch.
Yeah,
top notch.
Yeah.
So that's a day at sea.
Pretty much.
Right, yeah, dining and accommodation.
Yeah. So every ship is different, but generally there's a buffet and there's a sit-down restaurant, and then some also have paid other fancy restaurants as well that you pay on top. And the way they do things is different as well. Sometimes you can just rock up to the buffet and just walk in. Sometimes you can rock up to the sit-down restaurant and just walk in and get a table. Sometimes they have a set dining time.
Nighttime dining, and they sort of like
the Caribbean
say that you're going to start at a certain time. You can start your my time dining at a certain time. It's not my time dining throughout the whole dinner period. So that caught us a little bit by surprise.
Yes.
But it ended up fine, and we ended up just like going early anyway and talking to the host dude at the door. And he slotted us in.
And then because of my gluten thing, we ended up with the same sort of waitress. And
so we're in the same section anyway.
Same section whenever there was a table.
And usually we ate with our friends that we met too.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's dining, and then there's also heaps of other like snacky dining around the place. Like there's a pizza on our ship. There was a pizza place that was open almost all the time, and
all the bars have like a little cabinet of like bits you can get as well.
Yeah, there was like in the corner of the buffet. There was like a little corner that they did a lot of like all the time, not just buffet time. They had like Mexican normally. And so if you were ever like nibbler, you could just go to the Mexican and make a little burrito.
It was just like a little snack corner.
yeah. There's ice cream machines.
There was soft serve. So there's always something you can always pick up a little snack somewhere along the way if you wanted to, if it was outside the dining times. But honestly, the window of dining times is only short anyway.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. And then even at the buffet, like say you go to the main restaurant and you have a nice meal, and then you're like, oh, still good. I'm still peckish on.
I want to go and see what's at the buffet.
I want to see what's at the buffet. So you go and see what's at the buffet, and then there's like a nice dessert. So you go and just have an extra dessert or something.
Yeah, exactly. And you can always
don't lose weight on a cruise.
No, and you can always ask for more at the dining restaurant.
You can ask for multiple options.
If you're like, I want the steak and the chicken because I'm really hungry, and I say both sounds really good. You can ask for both meals. I never did. Actually, I did once.
I did it a few times.
I did once, but
I got extra carpaccio.
Yeah, I just felt like funny about it. But I could go to the buffet and get it without an issue. It's funny how it works. Your mental thing about it. But yeah. But that's pretty much dining, really.
One thing specific to Transatlantic is that some stuff runs out near the end of the crossing.
Yeah.
So fresh bananas were out like probably day 5. There was no more fresh bananas.
That was annoying. Yeah. But they generally do a pretty good job keeping everything still with a variety as much as they can. The other thing with like the gluten-free part of that for me, or allergies, even lactose, as soon as you mentioned it to one of the waiters or like I meant, was it the head chef of the buffet, every time I walked in there, he was there. And if he wasn't going to be there because it was his like shift off, like he would tell tell me who to see to find out if I needed to find out specifics about gluten-free food.
It wasn't that easy to figure this out at the start. It took us a little while. It took us having to talk to the head chef of the buffet and talking to the head waitress of the main dining room to get gluten-free stuff sorted.
But it was even before that. I was struggling to find out because I don't have labels or anything. I didn't know what I could eat, and I didn't know who to ask, and we actually went to the concierge, and they put us to the restaurant head, and he was the head of all food basically on board, and he then said, right, no problem, this is the person you need to talk to here, and this is the person you need to talk to here. And from that point, they were then my point of contact.
So it was like, I think it was day 3 of the cruise where you got gluten-free sorted really nicely.
Yeah, and I had to get to the point where I was upset because I'm like, someone else told me, oh, did you know you can get cookies? And I was like, no. Like, I had no idea what I could eat. And someone was like, yeah, you can get cookies. I'm like, well, how did you know this? And they're like, oh, I just, I asked.
Someone told me.
So I know someone told them. And I'm like, so, yeah.
And we didn't find out until day 6 that there was gluten-free pizza available at the pizza station all all the time.
Yeah, so
You could always just go and order a gluten-free pizza, which was great. It was
so I
a
got
great
like
pizza.
a whole pizza to myself that was gluten-free, freshly made whenever I wanted
Regularly.
it. And it was great pizza. So, yeah, in terms of the gluten-free food, I think the first thing, or any allergy, whether it's nuts, whether it's whatever it is.
Yeah, I had lactose-free milk every morning for coffees and hot chocolates.
Yeah,
so,
Robert.
Yeah. He made sure
every morning
by day 4,
in the buffet,
he added a lactose-free jug of warm milk to his
trolley. We always found his area for the day, and then that's where we went for the breakfast. And if we were planning the dining room for breakfast, we'd let him know the night before, hey, we're going to do the dining room, so don't worry about the milk in the morning.
Yeah.
So we did that courtesy to him as well. So but my advice is go and find out who the people to talk to first. Go and ask the concierge, what are the names of the head people in the 2 different areas or 3 different areas.
Hat,
but like, you want to know their names. You want to introduce yourself and know their name and stuff like that. And then from there, they know you and they remember you as well. Every time I walk in, they remember my name every time.
Yeah.
And they had like the dessert one as well. So any allergies, do that, and then you'll be set for food. For sure, 100%. Everything.
And you got a bit of special treatment, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. And like, nothing was a problem. I asked for gluten-free pancakes. They made them. They're like, anything you want, we will make it gluten-free for you. We have the stuff. We just need you to tell us you want it.
And we pre-ordered in the main dining room. If we're doing breakfast, the next day in the main dining room, we wanted gluten-free waffles or pancakes. I mean, I just had to pre-order.
I didn't have to, but it was quicker and easier for them if I did. So I was like, yeah, I'll have pancakes tomorrow morning. We'll see you at 8 o'clock. So, so that's the advice about food, really. So,
we didn't do the drinks package like we said, which means I missed out on good coffee, espresso.
Yes.
I had to make do with American Black.
You were fine. You survived.
Yeah.
You did.
I did.
You did.
I didn't. It was I would. It was not worth spending $5 per morning on like an espresso. So. That's just me. Yeah.
There was cordials and water and things like that you can have for free. So we were perfectly fine with our little cans of drinks and stuff throughout as well. So I think that's enough about food.
Accommodation, there's various options for accommodation at various price points. Cheapest, interior cabin. Second cheapest is like...
Cheapest is let them book your cabin. Remember that? Remember if you don't choose your number, it's even cheaper?
Oh, that changes. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheapest is an interior cabin. Next cheapest is a porthole cabin. Next is a balcony cabin. And then like a suite or whatever.
Whatever those other fancy ones are that we don't know about.
It's a hard one because there are big price differences.
Can be.
You don't get any separate treatment anywhere else on the ship. Maybe if you're in the special suites or whatever, but between an interior cabin and a porthole cabin and a balcony cabin, you don't get anything different anywhere else on the ship.
Other than, And they're generally 4-person, set for 4 people.
Up to 4 people, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're like at either side of that, so we had like the double bed at the bottom and then one of the top beds came down for Aria. So if you're more than that or less than that, like they still make the rooms to suit you no matter what one you're in.
But it can be more expensive. And so for us, we wanted a view outside for seasickness, and we wanted a low cabin for seasickness.
In the middle of the boat.
And we got all of those, and we got a reasonable price.
Correct.
We could have got a couple of $100 cheaper if we'd got an interior cabin. Friends of ours had 2 interior cabins because they're a large family, and that was fine. They didn't have them together, and it still was fine. They just had to go between them a little bit.
Yeah. But that extra bit for those requirements was worth it for us, for sure. But if you are really strict on your budget or don't care about seasickness or whatever, and you really want to save that money, then...
That was pretty much the only use of the porthole, I would say. Well, the interior cabin did look a little bit like cream walls.
Yeah, yeah. But you're not in there very often. But I was in there working, so it was nice to be sort of working a bit and looking outside.
Yeah.
For something different, not feeling like I was in a box.
Because the bigger ships now have the balconies facing into the ship, and that's even like, I don't even know if that's worth any extra money.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know, hey, until you experience that one.
We haven't done it.
Yeah. Maybe we will one day.
That's cabins. They're fine.
Yeah,
they're cabins,
and they all have a bathroom, and they all have that other stuff.
And they all have breakdowns because like every ship has breakdowns.
Things that break. People use
the shower stops working or draining,
but they're
or
onto it.
They fix it.
Yeah. As soon as you tell anyone, like whether it's your room person or the concierge, they're onto it.
I'll fix it within an hour normally.
Yeah. So honestly, cabins, they all just come down to personal choice.
Yep. Smoking. If you're a smoker, you might really enjoy a balcony cabin.
Yes.
Might make a big difference to your...
They're pretty strict with that too. You like really have to be closing those doors if you are going to smoke on your balcony. They're pretty strict.
And they're pretty strict on the rest of the ship as well. There's only small smoking areas where it's allowed.
Yeah. That's including vaping too. So.
Yes. So if you are a smoker, then maybe a balcony would be worth paying for.
Yeah. Again, personal choice.
Yep. Traveling with a child.
On a transatlantic cruise or a repositioning cruise.
Skip through this if you don't have a child or you don't care. We're going to be quick though. So basically it's good.
Yeah, we weren't sure. We thought Aria would love it. We thought Aria would love the kids club. Weren't sure if she'd get bored or anything like that, but she absolutely loved it. If we said, hey, we're going to go on a cruise tomorrow, she would be so stoked and she'd love.
Yeah.
She'd be like, yes.
Rock climbing wall.
Yeah, we had a rock climbing wall.
Games.
The kids club, the family activities throughout the other family activities.
Like remember the duck chase that they had through where you have to go and explore the whole ship and they had officers standing with ducks.
You had to take a photo with the
officer. You had to take a photo of yourself with the
person with the most ducks, collect photos.
Won prizes.
Yeah. And like the friends she met, the experiences she had,
even as adults, we made friends because she was there talking to people and doing activities.
Well, she was at the rock there. How we met our closest ones was
rock climbing.
She was rock climbing, and they got there and started rock climbing, and then they heard me talking to Aria, and then that started the conversation. Oh my gosh, you're from Australia, because they could pick up the accent because they're from America, and and so that's how the conversation. And we are still friends. And we just travelled with them recently, actually. Like that sort of stuff is from having kids. It's great. Even with sleeping in the room, like having the double bed for us and Aria above in a bunk was fine.
They made special towel animals for her. That was epic.
Yeah. And some for us, we did not put Aria to bed in a room and then leave her because she's not a child that was okay with that. Whereas other families have children that are either two in there and they can put them to bed, like know that they're locked in and go and see a show or whatever. So it really depends on your family kind of structure and comfortableness, I guess.
The same with just running around the ship by themselves. Some parents are fine with it, some parents aren't.
Yeah. And like, honestly, they can't really get themselves into too much trouble on the ship. Like it's a safe space, really. Yeah. You know, in the rough seas they might fall downstairs or something.
We do get annoyed with parents who just let their kids run completely free range. And
we never did that. Like Aria was always either with
yelling and screaming all over the ship. That's don't do that.
Yeah, like Aria was either with us or at kids club or swimming in the pool or doing an activity. You know, but we were
quietly walking back to the room with a friend.
Yeah.
To get something that they forgot or something.
Yeah. And in terms of kids club, they were fantastic. They were really great coordinators and things like that. And Aria actually did have a medical sort of incident in kids club, and it was when we were in rough seas and her door slammed on her hand in the kids club. They were straight on it. Called us straight over the kids club, called the concierge. Concierge paged for us over the speakers for us to contact them. We went to them straight away. They said, you need to go to kids club. There's been an incident with Aria. We thought she was going to be seasick because it was up the front of the boat and it was one of the rougher sea days. And we got there and she's like, jammed her finger, and they were like, okay, we need you to sign this incident report. We're going to take you straight down to medical. We're going to assess by the doctor. They were amazing. Yeah. So the care for the kids is high. It's next level. You can honestly trust that your kids are going to be looked after in the kids club. And even if it wasn't an incident in kids club, they love kids on those boats. So, you know that that kids are going to be okay. Yeah. So,
do it with
and all the nighttime shows and everything are all kid friendly as well. So if you think like maybe they're not like the hypnotist,
the casino, just stay away from the casino.
Yeah. The hypnotist, like he was like, don't worry, it's family friendly, things like that. Yeah. So everything is based for kids. Is it's good. So thumbs up for kids.
Yep, do it. Pros and cons of the Transatlantic Cruise. So big pro is the price. For us, it was cheaper than flying plus accommodation would have been. Not even counting food, restaurant quality food every night. Entertainment, all that stuff. If you have the time to do that crossing instead of flying, go for it.
For sure, yeah. If you want something different, like totally different experience, go for it.
if you want to build up rewards with a cruise line, they
Yes.
base them on per night, number of nights that you've cruised with a company.
Yeah, that's an
It is
easy 12.
half the price to build up those nightly rewards with a Transatlantic Cruise.
Yeah.
Ask our friends. They are
They're getting
rocketing
there.
up the
They're getting
Royal
up the ladder.
Caribbean ranks of free stuff.
They're getting there.
Yeah. I think they get 3 free drinks a day now.
Not quite. They're almost there. Not quite.
Yeah. And free internet or something as well.
Yeah. More reason to do more. It's funny how they reel you in.
Yeah.
They are like, they're just a totally different experience. Like, they're not that busy kind of
It's more of a holiday than a normal cruise where you go in port every day or every second day.
Yeah. And because it is that longer, it's not just a 7 days, 1 day at sea, port, 1 day back. You know, it's actually like quite a holiday.
You unpack once for 14 days or something. It's nice.
Yeah, and for us that was a holiday. So yeah, it was good.
It's a holiday in our life of not quite holiday.
Yeah.
Getting waited on every day, like hand and foot, 3 meals a day.
Yeah. And I think anyone
eating out. We don't eat out at restaurants very often because we just don't like spending that much money on it.
And to get gluten free and all that stuff, it's hard. And I think anybody can enjoy a cruise, whether you're young, old, child, grandpa. Like even disability. Like,
I mean, maybe if you really, really get annoyed at other people.
Yeah, maybe if you can.
Maybe it's not for you.
Yeah, but I think. Honestly,
we like people watching those. That's kind of funny.
But I don't think there's many people that wouldn't enjoy a cruise, and I don't think there'd be many people that wouldn't enjoy this cruise unless you really aren't a person that sits by the pool for 7 days straight, or really doesn't like same environments or things like that.
Then, I don't agree that it was even like that.
I think, it just depends. I don't know. I feel like those people that feel those things can notice that stuff quicker. So, I just think it suits everybody and anybody, really.
So we got pros. What are some cons?
Pros. There's so many pros. Cons.
Pros, luggage. Take as much luggage as you want.
Pros, luggage, the food, the experiences that you get, the people you meet, all that stuff. There's so many pros to it. The price, the destination. It's really something unique. Cons are probably the seasickness and the picking up sicknesses. They're a really big thing for me. I really struggled with that.
Sometimes you'll sail past ports that you wish you would stop at.
Oh, I want to stop there. Yeah. That's probably a con, like that it is.
You do miss out on a few of those edge ports. We looked at doing a back-to-back and doing another 7 days around the Caribbean after we docked in Florida.
But when you see the price, and you're just like,
it was double the price per night, and it was so hard to justify after we'd just done one half the price.
Yeah. We wouldn't. I don't think we would feel the value in paying that extra per day for the same sort of stuff. So,
So, if you're value
driven,
if you're value driven, then that's a great thing.
I'm just trying to think of another con. I don't really know. I can't think of anything negative other than the sickness part of it, really. For me, the food did get a bit repetitive on that one.
Oh yeah, so they are mostly geared up for 7-day cruises, and so the menus. They don't really have like a 12-day worth of menu, so they do start repeating a little bit.
So burger night happened twice, and then pasta night happened twice.
But also lobster night happened twice, steak night happened twice.
Yeah. So it's a bit
give and take.
Give and take. So that probably it. But in terms of like the service,
entertainment, they managed new entertainment the whole 12 nights.
Yeah.
13
nights. The service from everybody on board was amazing.
The mandatory tipping, they are quite high now.
Yes. They mandatory tip, but you can actually take that away. So you can actually go and ask for the mandatory tipping to be taken off, and then you tip personally in cash to those people that
made a big difference
for you. And that is a controversial one. I actually would like to hear your feedback in the comments of mandatory tipping or not. I'm curious to know how people stand on this, because mandatory tipping means you pay a set amount and it apparently gets spread amongst everybody on board the ship, so the people that don't serve you get some of that as well.
Like people who wash the sheets and stuff that you don't normally see.
They're still doing your service for you.
Yeah.
But you don't see them. However, the whole tipping concept is you tip for good service. So for me...
people that are actually serving you.
Yeah, so for me, if our room person went above and beyond, we pay him cash on top because he went above and beyond. But yes, he wouldn't have had the towels and sheets if that person didn't wash them in the
How
laundry
far
area.
down do you go?
But so for us, I'm like, the people that you don't get seen should be paid a decent wage, and those people that do the service should be the ones that get tipped, in my opinion. Extra for the service they give, so that the standard is higher for your service that you're getting. So
feels like the mandatory tips are basically so they can pay the staff less overall,
exactly,
and then just make it up with tips.
Yeah, so that kind of annoys me a little bit. So it's not what tipping's about. So for us, that's my personal opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of you that disagree with me, but you can let me know in the comments. I'm not going to take it personally.
Any other pros and cons? Environmental. I mean, it did use a lot of fuel crossing the ocean, but it was doing it anyway.
And it was doing it in comparison to flying an aeroplane?
Yeah, I think it's better than flying.
Okay, because it was like a flight was going to do it anyway. That was also that whole argument.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to know. Actually, it'd be interesting to know how much environmental impact the two options would have been. But like all of their water is like, and they recycle and all that stuff as much as possible on ships and things. So they do try to be environmental on board. So. Yeah, I can't think of any other cons or pros. I'll probably think of heaps once we stop talking. It's always the way it is.
Oh, shoulder season. It's always in shoulder season, which is both a pro and a con.
Yeah.
It's a pro because travelling in shoulder season at either end of the cruise is great because shoulder season's a bomb. It's the best.
We love shoulder season.
Cheaper, better.
Less and less each year.
Yeah. The con is that during the cruise itself, you are not going to be probably lounging by the pool. We got a little bit of that around the Bahamas.
Yeah, the weather's not. It
It's
depends
not
how
like
far
summer in the Caribbean
or...
and everyone's around the pool all day swimming.
Yeah.
And
it really depends on where they cross, though, as well.
Yeah.
And the weather you've got at the
time of year, like November versus March, is different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, really, like that we talked about it, touched on earlier about packing everything. It is one of those things to consider. You are not going to have that summer.
But they do. There is
vibe.
quite a large window of them doing those Transatlantics now.
Yeah.
It goes over quite a few months, so you can really go early in the shoulder or late in the shoulder.
Yeah, you could time it, and it works.
But you'll get it better on one end or worse on the other end.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to pick which one you prefer. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of it. If you have any other questions or you have a con or a pro about a transatlantic cruise because you've experienced one, let us know in the comments as well, because there's obviously it helps other people.
Yeah. If you want to watch any of our other travel videos,
I've had heaps.
Yeah, I'm pretty dry.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Yeah. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
We've got a bunch more content coming up.
Yeah, so we've spent, we've spent a fair bit of time around Europe, UK. We are heading across to the US now, and we've got snowboarding and winter US Canada adventures to come, which is super cool and exciting, super cold and exciting even, and still so much more to come. So much more. We're sitting in something right now that is going to come in the future. Yeah, in another 6 months, eventually we'll have this adventure happening. So yeah, I hope that helped. I hope it's inspired you to do a transatlantic cruise, or even just another cruise. If you haven't experienced one before, if you're an experienced cruiser, I hope it's inspired you to do a transatlantic cruise. Or I hope it's given you something. We're thinking about a Trans-Pacific, if we can find one with the prices right and timing's right for us. Yeah, and the whole purpose of what we do, and what I mostly do, is to inspire you to travel somewhere different and take that leap to explore the world in some way. So hopefully this one's given you a little bit of a seed to your thoughts. Ciao. Catch you in the next episode. Au revoir.